Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next North Node Manifestation Masterclass. We've got Kenya Riley on the call with us today. We just have so much to get through today. Today, we are doing Taurus Scorpio, Scorpio Taurus. Like this one is going to be good. So come on in. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion. Let's do some housekeeping first. My name is Andy, and I have been a conscious manifester since the first grade. I mean, just so you know, we're always manifesting from the moment you are born, and some say even in the womb. So this is not about learning something new. It is just about honing the skill, becoming aware of what our soul is really calling us to do. And so a couple of notes. One, if you guys would like to book a one-on-one discovery call with me for coaching, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. If you would like to book an astrology call with Kenya, I'm also going to put a link in the show notes. And if you do not know what your North Node is, shame, 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 but I'm going to put the link in the description so that you can find that out. And let's get you manifesting on the path forward. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're going forward. And without further ado, I would love to bring up on stage with me Miss Kenya Riley. Hey,
Kenya. I'm back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back.
I am so excited for today. We've got so much to go on. Go ahead, introduce yourself for those of you who are joining us for the first time. But if this is your first time joining us, you should go watch the other videos because they have so much information in them too. But Kenya, go ahead, share with everybody. Who are you?
Yes. Well, it's really good to be back. I'm very transparent. It's funny. We're going to be Scorpio and Taurus today, and I'm a Scorpio sun. So I'm very sensitive to Scorpio energy, super, super sensitive. And this is definitely the most intense axis, the Scorpio Taurus, and I'll talk about that. But I consider myself an astrology guidance coach. I could say astrologer, but I really say astrology guidance coach because that's more of what I do with the astrology. And so all that really means is I help people discover, renew, transition, all the different things, transform by using astrology as a guide and as a framework. And so I have a company, Finding Your Voice Health and Wellness. That is my boutique space where I work with mostly women. But for astrology, it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be, women only. But yeah, that's my thing. I'm also an assistant professor and I'm in academic life. And so, but in this space, astrology all day. Yeah.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's dive right in because I would like to just recap real quick. What is the North Node? What is the South Node? And why are we even here today? What are we talking about?
Yes. So North Node in a very simplistic way is where are you going? Where's the North Star? Where's the purpose? What are we manifesting? Where are we leaning toward? What is the soul's biggest thing it's trying to experience, accomplish, achieve, be? That's our North. Our South Node is pretty much the opposite of that because they sit right across from each other. And the South Node, and both of these are placements, and we talked about that in, I think, a previous masterclass. They're not actual planets, but they're points. But the South Node is what we've mastered in previous iterations, in previous lifetimes, in previous experiences, because astrology is looking at this kind of soul evolution. And this human experience keeps changing, but the soul is constant and it's moving. So the South Node just represents a space where we're very familiar, very comfortable. It's within our subconscious. It will feel like this is me because it's so strong. But actually, what the South Node is trying to teach us is how do we release more of the shadowy side of that energy, and how do we integrate so we can move and help toward the mastery of that North Node. So yeah, it's the release.
I love it.
Yeah, it's the release, but don't fully you need some of it. Yeah.
Right. And I always love saying, the South Node is the comfort zone. We've got it like that. We know how to do it forward, backward, up, down, left, right. Yeah. And the North Node is like coming out of the comfort zone, reaching for more, reaching for that part of us that's calling to us. I feel like the North Node calls to us.
Calls you.
It's
It's a
that,
calling
yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
it's definitely magnetizing. It's like, hey, come over here, come play with me, and let's get you your dream life.
You're like, but wait, I don't know. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's let's do this. So let's start South Node Scorpio, since we're talking
Ah,
Scorpio energy, right? So this is what I've understood is you've come into this life with an instinct for transformation, emotional depth, and seeing beneath the surface. While there are incredible gifts, your comfort zone may be living in extremes, expecting the worst, or feeling that growth only comes through struggle. Your lesson is to release the need for constant intensity and allow peace to become your new normal. Like I know a few people like that. I definitely know people who are seeking the drama, right?
yeah. This is why I said this is very intense because so much of our survival mode, which Scorpio and Taurus are about survival. Okay, so I kind of want to point that out. They're both every each time we're doing these axes, every sign, they're sister signs. So they have something that they do similarly. And for Taurus and Scorpio, it's this survival. But for Scorpio, it's more survival of the mind. It's that mind, it's more into the emotion and the mental health aspect of survival. Where Taurus is the Maslow, do I have my food? Do I have my shelter? Am I comfortable? So that's just important to say that. So yes, what makes this so tricky is we're built our kind of our lower brain, everything is trying to get us to like survive. And so if we're not in this vigilant kind of mode, and especially in today's society and how things are moving and shifting, it can feel like if we're not like this, we're not really doing something. And so the Scorpio South Node is saying, hey, you don't always have to be in the fight. You don't always have to feel the intensity that Scorpio wants so badly. And the reason why it wants that intensity is because it's penetrating, it's seeing the unseen, it's empathic, it's feeling, it's intuitive so that it can gauge its safety because safety is a part of survival. So it's a tricky, I think, honestly, it's one of the harder. I'll be honest, I have a client right now who is in a Scorpio South Node. Actually, I have two. And it is tricky. It's tricky helping them move out of, because that vigilance is what has to them allowed them to be successful or to be where they're at. But to your point, where you just said, there's a calling though of I want more ease. I want things to be simpler. I just really want to travel and just to have good food and relax. But that South Node, that Scorpio South Node, yeah, it's very much about how do I the shadow of it all can be very controlling because again, the South Node deals a lot with our shadow stuff. So, we'll contract, and Scorpio is very much this energy that tries to control so that it can feel safe.
There is an old saying, and I'm totally going to butcher this. Like anybody who's ever watched any of my YouTubes know that I'm a butcher of quote stuff. But it's about like anything worth having is worth the hard work. And I think the problem when it comes to manifestation is that there are things that are worth having that can come with ease and flow and grace. I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't have to work for it, but it doesn't have to be that intensity of slog, that intensity of like, I have to like really beat my head against a wall in order to get this thing. Like there has to be a balance between, putting in effort and overextending yourself because that's the way it has to be in order for me to extract every bit of worth. Like at some point, too much work, there's like the negative return on the gains. Like it's like you're overdoing the work and you're not getting any more enjoyability. You're not getting any more pleasure out of it. So it comes a point, yes, there's effort, but the Scorpio South Node is like, I just have to drive into the pain and suffering of it to get more out of it. And that's not necessarily the case.
No, and I really want people to understand Scorpios, it's water. So when we say more work, it may not necessarily be work the way that we're used to, like I'm going and I'm climbing up the mountain. That's like the Capricorn, I'm climbing the mountain. Even Taurus to a certain degree can kind of, Scorpio is the mental. So it's those mental games. It's those over obsessive thoughts. It's those, I'm playing it in my mind over and over and over again. And I'm thinking of the darkest of the dark because Scorpio rules darkness. Scorpio rules death. So the catastrophizing, like it's people with Scorpio South Node, this gets real intense because it's such a psychological situation. That hard is a psychological, and a lot of Scorpio energy. Scorpio is what I consider like iceberg, and meaning, and honestly, I'm transparent. Andy and I, before we push record, I'm going through a whole lot right now. This is very Scorpio. Like it's so, I'm like, me being a Scorpio sun, my God, you know, and so, but I'm fine right here. But that iceberg down below is you know, doing, and so that it's more of it's an unseen work. So it can be very, I think Scorpio energy, that's why it's so powerful and intimidating, because it's on the outside, it can be almost even aloof. But internally, there is this, to your point, this overworking grind psychologically. And obviously that can show up in our bodies and all the other things. So I think, you know, South Node Scorpio is trying to teach you, how do I start releasing that and start trusting that everything we were just saying when we can start talking about Taurus North Node. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's not becoming aloof. That's, you know, how to work with it. It's not about, oh, all of a sudden I don't care. It's not, it's understanding that you don't have to have plan B through Z. Maybe just having a plan B is enough, you know?
Yeah. And it's really about, because Scorpio is about self-mastery.
Yes.
So that's the high frequency of it, is I don't, the South Node is trying to teach you to release all of the shadow of the trying to control other people, being very manipulative. Scorpio shadow can be a very manipulative energy. It's trying to teach you, because it can see, it can infer, it can predict your move before you even know your move. So that's really powerful energy to be able to have. And that's what keeps the Scorpio energy safe. But what it's trying to teach you in the South Node is, no, instead of trying to manipulate everybody else, and instead of trying to project and get everybody else in order so that you can feel better, let's do that for self. Let's just be a little bit more, and let's be willing to get the support, because Scorpio energy is also about getting the mental health support. Shared resources is another big part of the Scorpio energy. Let me get what I need in terms of the mental health support, the therapy, the coaching, all of those things, so that I can start to self-master, so I can release that and then move toward that North Node. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's move to the South Node of Taurus, which this is what I've come up with. So you come into this life with a natural patience, practicality, and ability to create comfort and stability. While these are beautiful strengths, your instincts may be to cling to what's familiar, resist change, or prioritize security over growth. Your lesson is to trust that transformation isn't something to fear. It's often the very doorway to the life you're meant to create. Absolutely. And I love this. I absolutely love this, because it goes to that point of, you know, the transformation part being challenging, being hard. It's like, let me create systems to stay safe in that physical space, right?
Yes, absolutely. So if we just kind of, again, turn it over on its head, Taurus is looking at, are my things, am I in control of my things? Do I have my resources straight? So, you know, I don't want to change. I don't want to rock the boat because this is very comfortable. But to what you just said, that South Node is trying to teach you, okay, yes, we still want you to value stability and resources and your self-worth, huge. But we also want you to experience expansion. We also want you to experience depth and be willing to see your survival not just based on things, but on the divine, on the unseen, and start to really trust that the unseen has got you. trust that if I go and do these different changes and I take a little bit of a harder risk, that these stable resources I've created are enough, very much enoughness energy, because South Taurus is this enough? Because I need to make sure I have enough. And so I'll just sit on it. It can be a very possessive energy in the shadowy side. So it's trying to, yes, let's ease that up so that we can experience something much more in depth, and so that we can now feel our life a bit more. Because Taurus is earth. So Taurus is about grounding. It's about building. It's the tangible. It's the, I can feel it. I can touch it. Scorpio is water. It's the complete opposite of that. Okay. So it wants you to still have that trust and still have that stability, but not based on your things, not based on things staying the same. It wants you to experience shift and move and death in the way of shedding, so that you can make room for this other experience for yourself. So it's another tricky one, right? Like, who wants to go into the dark? Who wants to go into the, who wants, and, I will say, like, my mother, so I'm a Scorpio sun, and this happens a lot. We've kind of talked about this, how kids will be the North Node so that you can see, oh, I can trust this because this is, so I'm a Scorpio sun. My mother, her North Node is Scorpio. So she has this Taurus, and she's 87. I'm just going to let her be how she is. But I've seen, now that I really understood this, it's like, oh, this is why experiencing panic, like, it can be because again, I can't see it. So I don't know if I can trust it. So then so now I go into a panic worry about it, because I haven't allowed the unseen to allow the unseen to be okay. Like, I'm still trying to make sure things are right here. So I do think this is one of the harder axes. I think because of the psychological aspects of this. And just so that people know, naturally Scorpio is if you're looking at your chart, just so that you can kind of relate to this even more, Scorpio is connected to the 8th house. And so the 8th house is one of the hardest houses, I think, to explain to people in astrology, because it does deal with so much of our vulnerabilities, our ability to trust, and to trust in a way where we do shared resources. That is tricky. And it is the death and rebirth. So it's constantly pushing us in the transformation. What are we willing to let go of to get the better thing? So Taurus don't like that. Taurus wants stability. Taurus wants good food. Taurus wants to relax. Taurus wants to, it's Venus. What are you talking about? I want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy the finer parts of life. And Scorpio is Pluto and Mars. Like, what? There's like complete fight. Like, you're like, what are we talking about? So I definitely, when I work with clients, like, as I said, I have a client right now, and we really have to use a lot of other parts of her chart, her gifts, the other things that really allow her to see that, okay, I can do this. Now she's the opposite. She's a Scorpio South Node, but we're really having to use a lot of her chart to help her really kind of see, you can trust this other side. So, because trust is another big common denominator between the two.
Yeah. And I think even in just thinking about the Taurus South Node in terms of manifestation and like creating the systems and the structures to stay safe in that, I don't think a part of it, like, that's bad. Like, we do need systems and structures in order to be able to build build a foundation for the things that we want. That's crucial. And again, we're not saying that all of a sudden you have to like go with the flow and throw caution to the wind, but it's allowing for what is coming to come. Yeah. Allowing into your life. And that's definitely a signature of the North Node, which we're going to talk about right now. Right. Yeah. So let's get into, since we're, doing South Node Taurus, let's do the North Node Scorpio. Yeah. And this is what I've got. That your soul is learning to embrace transformation, vulnerability, and profound emotional growth. This lifetime calls you to let go of what's comfortable, trust the unknown, and discover the strength that comes from surrender rather than control. Your greatest manifestation often arrives when you're willing to release the life you've outgrown. And I want to hone in on the word outgrown. Because when you have the South Node Taurus and you're good at what you do, all of a sudden you're the big fish in a small pond. All of a sudden you have mastered, you've dominated this, you're ready for varsity, you're ready for the next level. But because you can become so comfortable, you're just like, I don't want to like go there. Like it can become a place of fear, but that is how you get to the next level. How you pull in bigger manifestations is by saying, this life is great, appreciating it, but I've outgrown it.
Yeah. It's I'm, as I said, this is real personal for me because I have so much Scorpio. And like I said, my mom is a Scorpio North Node. And I have a child who's a Scorpio moon. So as you can see, this theme of transformation, this theme of mental health is because it's very much in the, I really want to point that out because I do think that people who have North Node Scorpio, allowing yourself to get that professional support, whether it be a coach or a therapist or both, I say and both, make sure you do both, is really kind of critical because this isn't an easy move at all because you are still needing to integrate and having, yes, those material things, like you just said, you still need to maintain that steadiness because that's what's going to actually be the rock as you're going through the surrender, right? It's the place to still be able to fall. And so having support for this, I think, is a really important one. I think, anytime you're dealing with Scorpio energy, because it's asking you to surrender and die and be reborn, that's why it's the shared resources. Because doing that by itself, you're gonna need other support, this is what's so crazy. Scorpios will feel like they can do everything on their own because it's a fixed, and both Scorpio and Taurus, they're fixed energies. That's their modality. So both of them have this, I got it. I got it. And Scorpio North Node, again, it is you got it, but don't just do it by yourself. Like, yes, you are learning self-mastery for sure. You're learning surrender, you're learning that. But that doesn't mean the path to that has to be alone. Where Taurus is definitely more of Taurus is about self resources, how I do for self, how I achieve and work and have this career and build for self. Doesn't mean they have to do it by themselves, but it is for self. Whereas Scorpio is not really, it's for self-mastery so that now you can elicit some other really special gifts that Scorpio has because, Scorpio's the witchy. I'm sorry. It's a bit more of I can see different things and it's really a beautiful energy to help with others to shift as well and to partner with others. So it's tricky. I think this is tricky, Andy. I think that when I was preparing for this, I was like, and I know because I have so much personal experience with it, I feel it deeper. I do think that Scorpio energy, it is considered the most intense of all the zodiac signs. And I think that that's, important to point out because I know when I go through harder stuff, I don't have those as my nodes. I don't, those are not my node placements, but because as a Scorpio sun, I'm going to experience a lot of this. I have to constantly remind myself that, it's okay to surrender, allow this situation to be, because ultimately there's something in this that is going to make you more powerful. That's the other part of Scorpio North Node. You're going through the transformation actually to claim your power and in your resilience, but also in, with that resilience, whatever it is you're manifesting, whatever it is you're wanting is that much more powerful.
And the other thing I like to tell my clients is, when they have this pairing, that when you have the Taurus as a South Node, know in your power that you can always build something. Like you're not going into, changing and transformation and allowing and receiving and, this ethereal thought, this like nebulous thing, like you are able to still create. Like that is your default. You will always be able to create.
Yes.
But when you're learning to reach for something more, don't think that all those skills that you've developed just vanish. Like that's your default. That's who you are. So inherently knowing that you can come back to that as a foundation, like to me, it creates such a stability for, hey, I can try something and I know I can always come back. I can try something and I know I can always come back. Even though we don't want to like always default to ourselves, but having that ability is to me like as a Capricorn, I love people who can build systems, right? Like I just connected that so well that it's like, but we forget like, oh, I'm going to forget this part of me. And it's not about forgetting who you are. It's about integrating a new piece so that you become a well-rounded picture.
Absolutely. And, Capricorn, because of it being that earth again, there's a lot of similarities. Cancer is and we're going to get to that in 2 sessions from now, but it's that same, we'll repeat a little bit of these themes when we go there. But it is absolutely that ability to build and know and trust. You've mastered that. So you don't even have to really worry. This is what I try to say with the Scorpio North Node. Listen, there is nobody who has a Taurus South Node or a Taurus Sun Moon rising. You're going to have your money. You're just never going to not. It's going to be there. It's going to be there because that is the wiring of who you, and when it's not there, there's still this resilience to really commit, hunker down and get it there. So yes, I can trust that these systems, these things, if there's a collapse that happens as I go more toward this Scorpio North Node energy, both Scorpio and Taurus are teaching you resilience in a way that, and that's another really, that's an important common factor between the two. They're very resilient energies. It's just one is going to mess more with your psychology.
Oh yeah. So let's round it out with the North Node Taurus. Okay. So I've got your soul is here to cultivate peace, stability, and a deep sense of self-worth. We talked about the self-worth, right? This lifetime invites you to slow down, trust the process, and build a life that feels secure from the inside out rather than chasing constant intensity or crisis. Your greatest growth comes from discovering that lasting abundance is created through consistency, patience, and simplicity. The simplicity is like ringing in my ear right now. It's it's going from the intense, the chaos, like all the systems and stuff, and then going to, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it just that one thread rather than creating an entire tapestry. Let's really focus in on that.
Yeah. Again, that's the surrender, right? Because to get to simplicity, there's a massive amount of surrender that really has to happen. And so use that Scorpio surrender energy that you can do when you have those falls. Allow that energy to translate into the simplicity too. It's the same, it's interesting how, having these conversations we've been having, because really fleshing it out. It's kind of one and the same. It's just coming from a different angle. And so, teaching, it's funny. Most people with that Taurus North Node, this whole soft life that we keep hearing about, you are the queen and king of that. Like that is what the whole point is. Like, yes, how do we get more of the ease, allow life to be, and not work ourselves emotionally into the tizzy while we are, creating the ease. Because what can even happen with a North Node Taurus, because of that South Node Scorpio, you'll over self-develop to get to, you're wanting the ease. And so, well, let me go study and let me go transform and everything. So you're still using the South Node, not knowing that, no, actually, we want to pare this down a little bit and let's just try it. Let's allow ourselves to kind of, trust that this is going to be enough, that the means are going to be enough, that, my mental is going to be enough. And that the power is going to be seen more from my ability to experience these more tangible aspects of life. Whereas Scorpio, the power has been, the Scorpio South Node, the power has been the ability to connect to the dark, the unseen, and so forth. But the Taurus North Node is saying, hey, go get that really good meal and get in the bathtub and experience the aromas and experience all the senses that the human experience wants you to have. Go do that. And it's like, I don't have to worry about what's going to, no, go do that and let that inform you. And so I think it's beautiful to be able to have a Taurus North Node. I mean, it's a great, I think as we're aging and moving toward, manifesting this more easeful life that's more connected to the earth and nature, because Taurus is very connected to agriculture and gardening and, like I said, the food. I think it's a really beautiful North Node to have, because it gives you that permission slip to kind of, escape this exhaustion that we put our brains through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the common thread with this pairing is, how do we reach for ease and flow, whether it's, through the 3D or whether it's through the ether, whether it's, us coming to terms with, settling our mind or settling our actions. But they really do play on different aspects of how we manifest, because they're both important. The way that we process information, the way that we think about information, and how we actually interact with the world. Are we overdoing it? Are we overextending? Are we not doing enough? And so finding the balance with, how much is doing too much and how much is doing too little. To me, it seems like that is the foundation of this axis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, those who are watching and have this, or, you have a loved one who have this Taurus North Node, Scorpio South Node, or reverse, but I want to particularly pay attention to this Taurus North Node. There's a certain kind of frustration that can happen too with this, because the Taurus North Node is very aware that they want the ease. It's typically like when we were talking about that calling, it's very aware because, it's already exhausting enough, right? In the human experience. So the Taurus North Node really feels like, no, I know I am built to just kind of have and that. But because society, and this is super important, because society very much makes us, this is a conditioning, this isn't the truth, makes us think that we have to, be slaves of our lives in order to experience, the good things, to experience the material wealth or whatever. But Taurus North Node is saying, no, you can actually experience that without that. And surrendering to that and allowing for that and trusting that, that is a process. That is a process. And, all of these North Nodes are processes. We don't come here with our, just, I got my North Node. That's not, it's constantly every 18 years going through a pretty heavy review until we can kind of ultimately, I say it's a 50 plus. I mentioned this in our first kind of masterclass about North and South Node. I don't feel like, you really actualize our North Node energy until that second half of life, because you need life experiences. You need to exercise your comfort zone. If I'm doing a client in their 20s, I know I'm not trying to push them out of their South Node necessarily, because they're still utilizing the comforts of the South Node. So I'm still utilizing that stuff. But once you hit that 40s, that second North Node, or that second nodal return, which is 36 years old, is when you're like, okay, wait. And then so your 40s and your 50s really, I think, are more the time to allow that. So for manifestation work, I will just say, those of you who are, less than 30, it's not to ignore it. It's to definitely recognize life is still going to be pulling these different things in your path to get you to start recognizing, oh, maybe I need to be more of this. But the functioning of life is probably going to still sit a bit more in that South Node, and that's okay. The integration comes a bit later.
Yeah. And I completely agree that, I've seen young people really lean into what their purpose is, but it's more of like a natural, like they just felt like they had to break free or they had to do something. Whereas when you're older and you're consciously doing it, I think you start to understand why good things are happening to you versus like, oh, like everything just kind of came to me because I followed my North Node without even knowing what I was really doing. Yeah. And conscious manifestation really, really asks of you to understand the mechanism behind it. It's like, okay, well, this is my soul curriculum, like we say. This is how I came into this world program, and that's okay. We're not trying to run away from who we are. We're not trying to like sever that piece of us, we're taking all the knowledge and wisdom that comes with that south node and really hypercharging the north node with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's about, if you look at the car, I might have said this before, who's driving the car. Ultimately, we really want that north node to be in the driver's seat and the south node to still be in the car, because it's necessary, because the integration is really the goal. It's really the goal is the integration. And so anytime we're integrating, we have to be willing to, let go of certain things so that we can be in flow, so we can be in collaboration with our lives. And so I think it's important, when it comes to manifestation, that we don't look at it as a padu. It's how am I working with the energy of my life? How am I taking the time to understand self beyond like just what I want, but who am I becoming, right? What am I actually becoming? How is this going to really serve me, serve others? How is all of that? And I think another big part of this is, ancestrally too, because ultimately your north node is also trying to clear that bloodline a little bit. A lot of times, whatever is going on with that north node, it's an energy that the bloodline hasn't fully been able to actualize yet. And so you are at the table now. You get a turn to do that. So if you can start looking at your manifestation not just being this singular, or your north node just being this singular thing, you're really literally carrying a lineage. You're carrying a legacy to move toward that. And that's why I know, your children, you look at what their north nodes are or what their sun signs are and what your north node, you'll see how it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is all, we're working together to get there. So this isn't just that I'm on the mountaintop by myself, I got to get to my north node. No, life is trying to teach you a bunch of special things to help support you to get to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Before we get into some Q&A, which I've gotten from people, I just want to remind everybody that in the show notes, you guys are going to see a link to schedule an astrology guidance call with Kenya. You can book a free discovery call with me for manifestation coaching, and all the goodies are going to be in the show notes. So just a reminder about that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's start with, since we were talking about North Node Taurus, let's start with that question first. How do you know when you're creating from a place of peace and stability versus holding on to something because you're afraid to lose it?
Oh, Lord.
That's a loaded question. You go first.
It is. I mean, this is where I say for, Scorpio South nodes, you're very intuitive. You're incredibly intuitive. And we don't really live in a society that allows us to trust our intuition. It doesn't allow us to, we try to some kind of way say, oh, that's in your imagination, or, oh, I was just kind of thinking that. I don't know. Like we kind of blow it off. But the gift of having the Scorpio South node is you're very intuitive. So if you are feeling a sense of peace, then that's real. Like that's not a fake thing. Like that's, there's no, your north node is always going to present to give you that sense of peace. You have to trust it. So I just say, when those feelings of peace come up, it's about trust. It's about allowing your intuition to be more of a guide than not. And to learn how to work with, I don't know if that's some of the work, Andy, that you also do is, how do we learn how to trust our intuition? How do we learn to hear when that is showing itself up and not, maybe ego trying to be some chatter? Like, how do we differentiate the two? But what's funny to me, intuition is the peace. It is the stillness. It's not going to have a bunch of chatter to it. It's not going to have a bunch of, when you feel that to me, that's more of ego. That's more of shadow that's trying to kind of come in there. But when that ease shows up inside, and I, as a Scorpio, as a Scorpio sun, I really had to learn to trust when I feel that. And it almost gets me a little scared sometimes when I feel it, only not scared because it's bad. It's because it's so powerful. And I'm like, wow, I'm really going to do this. Like, because it's there. And it's like, whoa, okay. I wasn't trying to make it this, it just, it's like, wow, this is really going to happen. And it can kind of blow your mind a little bit. So I think those are, I mean, that's what I would have to say is, really using that Scorpio South Node intuitive self so that you can trust it, lean in it, and accept, the peace that you're feeling.
Yeah, and I just want to echo what you said. Yes, Scorpios are very intuitive, and my daughter's a Scorpio. She's super intuitive.
Yeah.
And something that I usually do with clients is we're like tuning forks. We just never ask the question and listen. Like we just never when it comes to decision making, especially sitting with ourselves and really feeling, okay, what are the 3 or 4 possible outcomes and just going through each one of them and seeing where you feel contraction, where do you feel expansion, like what is it about these different scenarios that intuitively in your body are you sensing? So for me, it's a lot about the sensations of the body that come up when it comes to, when is it time to move on versus like, why am I still here? Like, why am I keeping myself in this box? And understanding that, like sometimes we just don't want to listen because it feels safer to stay here.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we don't want to listen because the other thing seems so far-fetched and impossible that it could never work. Like leaving a 12-year career in engineering to become a manifestation coach.
I was like, I need to take some lessons. Because I'm telling you, I'm a Scorpio and I can feel all the things, but I got that Capricorn moon and it's like, oh, where's it at though? And I'm like, oh my God, I can feel it though.
Yes. And that's the work right there. It's learning how to not only hear the intuition, but follow it, because it's not about throw everything away. And I think that's where the fear comes up, is that seeing like, oh, my life, my soul is calling me to something else. It feels really scary because you think, oh my God, am I supposed to, quit my job, leave my husband, take the dog and let's go. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is listen to it and then start moving in that direction. One step is not a whole 180 of your life.
Exactly. The one step at a time, that's just in general. And I think to treat your North Node like that, you're going to have periods where the North Node is going to feel a bit more urgent, particularly when you're in a nodal return. So when the sky is, currently the sky is on the Leo Aquarius axis. So anybody who has Leo or Aquarius in their North or South Node, they're feeling the heat of it. I mean, we're all feeling, wherever Leo and Aquarius is in your chart right now, everybody's feeling, because there's a lot going on in both of those signs. But those who have their nodes in that, you're really feeling it. And, that's just understanding that even though the urgency is feeling there, you're still also a human and you're on a journey, and it really isn't about the finish line. It's really about the journey. It's about the step. And I think particularly with these two, because they do require, because we're looking at security, we're looking at survival, we're looking at trust, like vulnerability, like these kind of deep things. There's some spaciousness with them. They're fixed signs. And so fixed signs are always trying to kind of harness the power in the moment before they go and take the next step. And yes, they can outstay their time in the harnessing, but that's the gift of a fixed sign, is that it knows how to harness. It knows how to hunker. So trust it. Trust that.
Yeah.
And you got to be really careful, who you're in community with and how you're surrounding yourself and the conditions that be, because there's a lot of influences that can make you feel like you need to rush it. But the fixed energy of Scorpio and Taurus, understand fixed doesn't mean just stubborn. That's the shadow part of it. Fixed means harnessing the power of it. That's what the beauty of a fixed sign is how do I harness and drip out the power of that, as opposed to rushing and moving too fast and too, whatever. Wherever your Aries is, that'll help you rush. That's my rush energy is, let me rush and get to that quick. But Taurus and Scorpio is very much a take your time energy.
Absolutely. Okay, let's do the Scorpio North Node question. Okay. How can someone tell the difference between a situation they need to surrender to and transform through versus one they simply need to walk away from? So I want to caveat this also with, anytime that your personal, mental, financial, spiritual safety are in danger, walk away immediately.
Yeah.
That's my number one, number two, number three. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
But the thing that I'm drawn to with this question is, some things aren't so cut and dry. So how do you know? How can you really tell this is an opportunity for me to transform versus this is an opportunity for me to set a boundary to walk away?
Wow. This is a tricky question because I don't think this is not a straightforward, direct, I think, process. I know with astrology, particularly, I'm never going to just look at a person's, I'm not going to just look at your North Node and South Node. And if you're in a situation like that where you're like, is this what I'm supposed to just allow myself to go through all these changes? Or should I just be like, peace, I'm done with this? I have to look at all kind of other parts of the chart, to be honest, so that I can better and hear your story and hear what the patterns have been. Because typically the patterns are going to tell more as to whether this is actually a space where you should be going through, and I call it initiation, kind of a soul initiation process, where it feels really, really hectic and hard. And it feels very much like, oh, I need to walk away from this. I need to go. But I need to look at, I want to see, but where's Chiron? Like, where is some of the wounding? Where have you kind of thought, where have you accepted your insecurities as truth? Or your, so we really got to look at that stuff, because that's going to better tell me, oh, no, this is actually, girl, no, this is where you're supposed to go, because all these other things have kind of lined up. And so, so that's what I'm going to do as an astrologer for sure. But, when you're just sitting in your life, you can't look at your life just in that moment. Like you have to take an account for, like, what have you been building all along? What have you been dreaming about all along? What have you been hopeful? What makes you feel in the most aligned and most powerful stature in self? What makes you feel depleted and exhausted and run over? And yeah, I've got the money, but I don't have the joy. I don't have the fulfillingness. That to me is now, yeah, that's not an alignment then. If it's like, this is really hard, but my God, I thought this was something I really wanted. I thought this was, but this is really hard. So maybe I need to go. You've got to look at, there's a totality picture going on here. There's much more.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think something that you touched on was patterns, is what keeps recurring in your life versus what is like a one-off.
Yeah.
And I think things that are recurring in your life are there for the soul evolution. It's there for the transformation. It's there to show you, hey, put the mirror up to you and say, this is a part of you that we're trying to elevate, that we're trying to bring to that next level. And witnessing that in all areas of your life, whether it's your job, your family, your friends, yourself, your purpose, your financial status, like whatever it is, seeing if you can find a piece of that challenge or that the thing that you're going through in all of those areas. And then you can say, oh, the world's trying to tell me something. Yeah. The universe is speaking to me to elevate this. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay in particular situations like I said earlier. Yeah. But if you find that there is an element of that in multiple areas, it's because it is calling you to transform there. And absolutely. You might not want to even take a look at like the bigger things right now. Like start with something small. Start with, just saying, okay, I keep finding that like this one person keeps coming in my life that, they're like, I just attract flaky people. Like, why is that? And it could be very well be a life lesson that has to happen.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, back to what I said and what you just reiterated is the patterns. Patterns are really, really important in looking at things. And I think this is why taking the time to having support, because sometimes when we're in our own head, it's very difficult to see the patterns because, we're trying to live, we're trying to survive, we're trying to move, we're trying to do. And so having coaches, having therapists, having people who can help create space for you and containers for you to start, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at the patterning and see what else this might be trying to talk to us about, just so that you can get a little bit out of your head, is super important too. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I think this has been such an amazing, wonderful discussion about Taurus and Scorpio. And I've learned a lot, and I hope everyone else has learned a lot. Kenya, you've got any final thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think this is a tricky one. So I think it is because you're dealing with fixed signs and you're dealing with Scorpio, which is the most intense of the zodiacs, and it is the one that's tied mostly to mental health and to our psychological, and because of the state of where we are kind of as humans right now, our mental health is finally getting a little bit more in the spotlight. So I just say that, just really make sure that if you have this axis, or if a loved one has it, really check in for support, because it can be a trickier one to navigate. Particularly, I don't think one is more tricky than the other, because they're both really asking for the transformation. As long as Scorpio's sitting there, no matter what end it's on, there's something about change that's loud, because it's demanding that, and so, yeah, that would be my only thing. Of course, I'd love to work with people. I mean, like I said, I have a couple clients right now with this placement, and I think it's challenging, but they're learning so much about their power, because both of these are really teaching us a lot about, where we have so much power and so much agency.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kenya. This has been such an amazing conversation. Again, in the show notes, you guys want to book an astrology call with Kenya, click that link that's in the description. If you're looking for manifestation coaching, one-on-ones with me, you get a free discovery call so we can figure out if you're right for coaching, and a whole bunch of other goodies like figuring out what your North Node is. We've got a whole bunch of other videos that are coming up, and let me get the dates for you guys. So August 27th is Gemini Sagittarius. September 3rd is mine and Kenya's Cancer Capricorn, and I'm so looking forward to that. I'm so looking forward to that. You guys are going to learn so much about us.
Oh my God. By the end of this series, you're going to know my chart. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, totally. And then we've got September 24th, Leo Aquarius, which is my husband. So we're going to go into that one.
That right now. Yeah. Yeah.
And then October 1st is Virgo Pisces. You guys keep coming back for more, because we just have so much information. Even if it's not your pairing, come and watch the other videos, because then you get to learn about the people around you and see how we can all just live in happy and harmonious lives. Thank you, Kenya. Everybody, it was so great to see you. Until next time, love you. Bye.